see. Let's get back into the courtroom now because we have another witness on the stand, an employee of the bar where all of this happened outside in the parking lot. This employee's name is Nicole Weldy.
Nicole Weldy, W-E-L-D-Y.
And where do you live in
Nashua.
Where do you work?
Slade's Food and Spirits.
And what do you do at Slade's?
I bartend.
Is that the only job that you have pretty much at Slade's?
Yeah, I mean, and we cook too, but mainly, yeah, bartend.
How long have you worked at Slade's?
A little over 14 years.
And who do you usually work with when you're on your shifts?
On Fridays and Saturdays would be Corey Peters.
And he's your bar back?
Yes.
What about on the other days? Like what other days do you work?
It's just me on Sundays and Wednesdays during the day because we close at 9.
Is it quieter on those days?
Yes.
Because of working at Slade's, did you get to know Patricia Swett?
Yes.
How did you get to know Patricia?
Well, she was friends with one of my friends, is how it started out. And then years later, within the last 3 years, we became really close and we became really good friends and hung outside of the bar.
So you would see her at Slade's, but you would also socialize outside?
Yes. Yeah, we talked every day.
When she came into Slade's, where would she normally be?
She would sit at the bar with me and just chat most of the time.
Did you also know Matthew campaign?
Yes.
And how long do you know Matthew for?
About maybe 7 years or so.
Did you know Matt outside of Slade's?
Yes. Yep.
And did you also know Victor Rivera?
Yes. I've known him the longest.
How long back do you think you know Victor?
Probably about 10 years, I'd say.
And would you say that you guys were friends?
Yes.
And was that outside of Slade's also?
Yes.
How often did you see Victor at Slade's?
Every shift that I worked.
What would you usually be doing?
He'd come right after work and he'd either play pool or play Keno and sit at the bar.
Did you see Victor in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Did you say identify him by something he's wearing?
He's got a green shirt, I think it is, or gray.
Any record to support the witnesses identified the defendant?
No objection.
So reflects.
Nicole, were you aware that Victor and Patricia were dating at one point?
Yes.
And did you actually go out with them sometimes when they were dating?
Yes, all the time, yeah.
About how long was that time frame that they were dating?
Probably a little over a year, I'd say.
And were you aware that they broke up at some point?
Yes.
Do you remember about when that was?
I think around April of that year, before it happened.
So 2023?
Yes.
Did you also become aware when Matt and Patricia started?
So they kept that from us for, I don't know exactly when that started. It was probably a few weeks before this all happened is when they actually told me. About Labor Day weekend was what, it was on Labor Day.
Early September?
Yep.
So I want to turn your attention now to September 29th, 2023. So the day that you choose. Were you working that night?
Yes.
And what was your shift that night?
6 to close, so 6 to 1 or whenever we close up.
And do you have to stay sometimes after close?
Yes, yeah, however long it takes us to clean the bar. So sometimes it's like 2 o'clock, 2:30 if it's a busy night.
Do you remember if Victor was there when you got there?
Yes.
And at some point after you started your shift, did Matt and Patricia come into the bar?
Yeah, I'd say around maybe 8 o'clock.
Did you actually see them?
I don't recall if I saw them walk in. They walked in separately though.
Did you have any sense of whether they come together or come separately?
So for a couple weeks, they would come in separately. So they would come together, or they'd come in separate cars, and one would come in like a few minutes before the other one, so that it wasn't noticeable yet, because they hadn't told anybody really.
Is there anything different about the night of the 29th?
They actually sat together that night.
Was that the first time that you'd seen them do that?
I mean, they've done it before, but not when Victor would be at the bar.
So at some point that evening, did Matt tell you something that he wanted to do in regard to Victor?
He wanted to just talk to him about it.
And what was Matt's demeanor like when he told you that?
I mean, Matt was just like a happy person. He just wanted to make everything good, everything right. I think he just wanted to talk to him. Him and Victor were friends.
How did you respond when Matt brought this up?
I told him that don't do it tonight. It's not the time or the place. They shouldn't do it in the bar.
Do you know if Matt followed your advice?
No, he went to the back room fairly after I said that, not too long after that, and went up to him in the back room, but I couldn't see them engage because the way the wall is.
Okay. So I'm just gonna look at this with some people already, but so we're looking at the interior of slates?
Yes.
And so when this is happening, are you behind the bar?
I'm probably right. I was right in the middle of the bar, so that back right wall was blocking my view as to where they were. Because Victor was in that the back table.
Do you mind coming up to just show us?
Come on.
I'm just going to have you walk up with
Oh,
your
yeah.
TV. If you don't mind, I'm going to have you point out where people are.
Better job with the pictures.
If you mind just pointing out where you were about.
Okay, so I was probably like in the middle right here.
I'm just going to have you, I know it's not feels awkward, maybe back up just a little bit just so everybody can see.
Oh, right in the middle of the bar. I was right here. So this wall right here is blocking my view. Because he was at that back table that night.
And when you say he,
Victor was at the back table that night, and Matt went up. There's a stairwell like this one, and he went up to him. And I couldn't see it at that point. Patricia watched it all happen. She was sitting right in front of me, right, like probably in this seat right here.
okay. All right, and I won't ask you.
And it wasn't very long. It was seconds.
Okay. So you saw Matt leave, and then he goes out of your vision because he.
I don't remember if he came back down or if he went towards the back room. I don't recall. After whatever happened between the two of them.
But you said it was, how long ago this was?
Not even 30 seconds probably. It wasn't a long time.
Okay, thank you.
Let's bring back in criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Jack Rice, who's watching this. And Jack, I wanted to give you an opportunity to react to something we started to talk about before the break, and that was the secrecy of this relationship. We have this witness saying that these two kept it from us, and she didn't find out about it until the same weekend that presumably Victor Rivera did.
Oh, you're right. And we even saw this one point where she says that they would sometimes sit together, but never when Victor was there. So Victor didn't know about this until this moment. And actually, this is a great witness for a lot of different reasons, because she's able to paint this picture sort of for all sides. I think completely credible, completely believable, but explaining how they would come in separately, how Patricia and Matt would come in separately. But on this evening, for the first time, they sat together in front of Victor and what that may mean. So I think that may be really important. And what's interesting is to see how either side can use a fact to drive their narrative. And sometimes that's the trick of trying cases, is taking the same fact and using it as illustrative of some point that you're trying to make, which may be different than the other side is trying to make with the very same piece of evidence.
All right, Jack, thank you so much. We're going to get in a quick break. We're going to have more testimony from the bad breakup murder trial for Victor Rivera in New Hampshire. That's when we come back. Stay with us.
JonBenet is God.
A two-night special report.
Exclusive video of the man who claims to be JonBenet Ramsey's killer.
Vinny Politan investigates. Tonight, 9/8 Central, only on Court TV.
It's the biggest story that we're covering.
He is the boogeyman.
Lori Daybell.
She said, I will have you destroyed.
She's got another murder trial coming up.
A social media sensation, now a suspected killer.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. Let's get you back inside of that New Hampshire courtroom where we have been following today the testimony in the bad breakup murder trial.
Defendant Victor Rivera is charged with the murders of Patricia Swett and Matthew Champagne. Parking lot surveillance video shows Rivera approaching the couple, and the three appear to argue before Rivera pulls out a firearm and shoots.
Let's get you back inside of that courtroom. We're listening to testimony now from an employee, Slade's Food and Spirits, Nicole Weldy.
Did you see what that looked like when he came back, or?
I don't remember. Yeah.
So at some point after Matt and Patricia got there, did Victor leave Slade's and cash out his tab?
Yes.
Do you remember about what time that was?
It wasn't much longer after they had gotten there, so I'd say maybe around like 8:45 or so, 9 o'clock, around that time.
And that's a rough estimate.
Yeah, and he wasn't gone very long, maybe like a half hour or so.
What do you think did he say to you while he was cashing out his tab?
He said, "I just want to cash out with you now. I'll be back, but I need to go take care of something."
And he did come back after that?
Yes.
And you said you thought he was gone only maybe a half an hour or so?
Yeah, half hour, 45 minutes at the most.
When Victor came back in that night, did he order any drinks from you?
He had, I believe, 2 more beers and a shot of Hennessy.
Did you observe whether he actually drank those or not?
Well, when we were cleaning up at the end of the night, I found the shot of Hennessy. I don't recall about the Heinekens because there were other people drinking them.
But the shot was still there?
Yeah, it wasn't. He didn't drink it.
So at some point, did Matt and Tricia leave Slade's?
Yes.
And what did you observe about when they were leaving?
So Matt, like when Matt left, he'd have to say bye to like every single person in the bar pretty much. So it's like a 20-minute like thing. So they were trying to leave. He cashed out his tab first. So I had them on separate tabs, not knowing that they were going to pay together. He cashed out, then they went to leave, and I said, "Oh, well, you still have your tab to her." So they came back to the tap at the beginning of the bar, and he paid for her tab. And at that time, while they were doing that, Victor went outside to smoke a cigarette. And I said to her, "Oh, no, he went out there before you guys left, before you were leaving." And she goes, "I know, it's okay."
So Victor had left, right?
Victor went out to smoke a cigarette while we were cashing out Trisha's tab.
And was Victor still out there when you saw Matt and Patricia?
I didn't see where he went because he tended to like walk back and forth when he'd smoke a cigarette outside. So I didn't think anything of it.
I just want to be clear. So he went out to smoke a cigarette while they were cashing out,
Yep.
and then they left?
Yes.
At some point after they left, did you see Victor come back in?
I never saw him return. I never saw him walk back inside.
But at some point after they left, did you see him in the bar?
Yes.
And when he was back in the bar in Slade, at some point did you become aware that there was some activity outside, like all the police?
Yeah, so it was kind of busy, and we have a DJ, so the music's loud, and there's always sirens coming and going. So you don't really think anything of it until people were saying we need to shelter in place. There's a shooting outside.
So that was the first time you became aware that something.
Yes. Yes.
How did Victor react to this?
I don't recall. I don't even know if he was in the bar at that point.
But at some point, did you have interaction with him in Slade after you became aware that the police were there?
When he walked out the door, I ran after him, went out front, and I grabbed his left arm because he's hard of hearing, so he can't hear me. So I didn't even know if he knew that this was even going on. So worried about his safety, I chased him out of the bar, grabbed his arm, and said, "You need to come back in. There's a shooter outside. We don't know what's going on." He said, "No, I have to leave." And I said, "No, you need to come back inside." He goes, "No, I need to go now." And he walked towards Main Street. And that was the last time I talked to him or saw him.
Okay. So I know you said you were concerned about appearance, but you told Victor that there was a shooter outside or something was going on. Do you
Yes.
remember exactly what you said to him?
Just what I just relayed to you, that was it.
And he told you that he had to leave?
Yeah. He was adamant that he had to leave. But he walked the opposite way of where he lived.
So can you explain that for me? Are you familiar with where Victor lives?
Yes, he lives on Walnut Street.
And what direction would you normally take to go?
You would go left, which is where all the police and the ambulance and everything was.
So instead of going left...
He took a right up by Caribbean Breeze and walked down Main Street.
So that took him in the opposite direction of the police?
Yes.
But it also took him in the opposite direction of where he would normally be
Yes.
going?
Yes.
I have no other questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
If you want to take a glass of drink water. So, I think you said that Victor and Patricia started dating. They've been dating for a year before they broke up. Is that right?
Yeah, they were dating a little over a year.
How did you first find out that they were dating?
I don't remember that. I don't know.
And do you remember how you found out that they broke up?
Yes, she told me.
She's Patricia.
Patricia told me yes.
What did she say about that?
Well, she did it through text message, which I told her not to do that she should talk to him because they've been together for quite some time, but she did it anyway.
So after that, did you ever see Victor and Patricia in the bar together?
They would be in the bar at the same time, but they never talked. She tried to talk to him about like belongings that she had of his and just wanted to talk, and he just wanted nothing to do with her.
Is that something you overheard?
We've got to get to a break. We'll get you back in for more of this testimony in the bad breakup murder trial for Victor Rivera after this break. This is Court TV, your front row seat to justice. Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Julia Janae, along with Kelly Craft, who is in for Ted Rollins. It's been a busy Thursday already here at Court TV. We've been tracking several trials and cases across the country. Here's a look. We're in New Hampshire, where the bad breakup murder trial for Victor Rivera is underway, and Rivera is accused of gunning down his ex-girlfriend and her new boyfriend.
In California, day one of the Hollywood overdose murder trial for producer David Pierce and actor Brant Osborne is underway.
And in Michigan, the final day of the preliminary hearing is underway to determine if 41-year-old Jarvis Butts is going to stand trial for the murder of a missing 13-year-old.
And in Wisconsin, the woman convicted in the Slender Man stabbing is petitioning for her release. Court TV's Cody Thomas is going to bring us updates on the Morgan Geyser hearing later this hour.
And for now, let's get you back into that New Hampshire courtroom. Victor Rivera on trial for a double murder at the Slade's Bar. A bartender from that restaurant, Nicole Weldy, is on the stand under cross-examination.
That's something you overheard. When you said that she would try to talk about this stuff, did you hear her?
I've seen her try to interact with him because we were all friends with the same group, and he just wanted no part of it.
Oh.
Almost acted like she wasn't even there. Sorry.
I interrupted.
Sorry, it's okay.
Don't let me interrupt you. No one's finished your answer to my call. Right. So that time, the two of them don't really talk for from the breakup until September 20th.
Yeah, she tried to, like I said, because she had a bunch of his things that she still had probably had in her vehicle, and he just didn't want any part of it.
And Matthew and Patricia started dating.
I'm sorry?
Matthew and Patricia started dating.
Yes.
And you found out about it around Labor Day.
Yes.
That would have been 4 weeks before September 29th? About. Do you know, by September 29th, was it common knowledge in Slade that they were dating?
Some people knew, but not everybody. I think everyone was just starting to find out.
Do you know if Victor knew?
He did know, is what I was told that he knew. I never actually had a conversation about it with him.
So, just, and I'm repeating the timeline you said, right? I just want to get it down. So, you start your shift around 6 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
Victor's already there. And does he normally get there before you start your shift?
He usually comes in around 5:30 because he comes right from work every day.
Okay. And Matthew and Patricia get there after you start your shift.
Yes.
Did you say indirectly it was about 8 o'clock or?
I think so. I think it was around 8.
I understand you can't.
Yeah, I think so. I think it was around 8 o'clock.
And then sometime after that, Victor cashes out, and he says he's got something to do in Molina.
Yes.
And you think that was about 8:45?
I'd say probably roughly, yeah.
Roughly.
Yeah, they weren't there that long before he left and came back, like left and then came back.
Okay. So if they get there around 8 o'clock, if he left, he was around 8:45, that sounds right.
Yeah, like 8, yeah, he was probably there like a half hour, maybe 45 minutes or so.
So then, if he's gone for half an hour, he'd be back around 9:15. Does that sound right?
Probably around, yeah, I'm not really exactly sure what time he came back, but yeah, I'd say like after 9, at least a half an hour he was gone.
Yeah, I understand you're not being exact, just if these sound like roughly the right
Yes.
times, that's what I'm getting.
Yes.
So then, Victor would have been, if we get back to 9:15, he's in Slade's until, for at least an hour, until maybe 10:15 or so? Does that sound right?
Whenever they cashed out, he walked out before them, so whatever time that was.
So when in that, you said he ordered 2 beers and a Hennessy.
Mm-hmm.
And that was before he walked out, before Matthew and Patricia walked out.
Yes.
Did he order them like right after he got back or right before he left?
I'm not exactly sure on that. I think it was right after he came back.
So that would have been about 9:15.
Yeah.
And what did you see Victor during that time period, like 9:15 to about 10:15?
I mean, it was kind of busy, so I wasn't really paying attention to him. He was in the back room playing pool with people that he knew.
Which is normal.
Yes, yep. Yeah, I think his cousins and stuff were back there.
You don't remember anything else about what Victor was doing between 9:15 and 10:15?
No, because he was just always there. It wasn't like I had to watch him or anything.
Yeah, and it's also a busy night.
Yes.
You've got some other things to do.
Yes, yeah.
Victor, tell me if I've got this right. Victor walks out before Matthew and Patricia.
Yes.
Does Victor walk out as, I think you mentioned that Matthew leaving took a few minutes. Did he leave as Matthew was cashing out?
Yes.
Or in that?
Matt was standing in front of me at the tab, paying the tab, and Victor was putting the cigarette in his mouth, walking out on the step, going out to the door, and he walked out before they did.
Did you see which way Victor went?
I did not.
And then after that, you don't see Victor again until
Till after everything happened, and yeah, the police are all out front, and they're telling us to stay inside.
And you never saw Victor come back in?
I never did, no.
Okay. When you saw him after he come back in, where was he?
He was in the back room again, where he was before he left.
The room,
the back corner in the pool room where I had showed on the TV earlier.
So then, after that, he walked out, and you grabbed his arm and said, "You can't leave. The police told us to stay there."
Yes.
And he leaves it.
Yes.
And he turns right.
He goes right. Yes.
Now, are you outside with him? Can you see?
Yeah, I was outside when that happened. So at the time, we have the patio out front, and I went outside of the patio and grabbed his arm. So he was already past the chains when I actually grabbed him by the arm.
By chains, you mean like the...
We have to have like chains out front because then you're just drinking on the sidewalk, so it just blocks off the area where you can bring your drinks outside.
It's a different way. It's like had some outdoor seating.
Yes, during the summer hours we have it, or until I think the end of October usually.
So you see him walk, turn right.
Yes.
So he'd be walking east on West Hall Street, straight towards Main Street.
Yes.
And how long did you watch him walk away?
I don't recall everything. It was the cops were all outside and it was a lot going on.
Did you see when he got to the intersection of Main Street and West Hall? Did you see which way he turned?
I did not.
So you saw him walk.
He crossed the street like he was going diagonal, like towards like to go down Main Street. Like he went out of Slade's, kind of took a right a little bit and then crossed the street.
I'm just going to use the maps. I'm not asking you a bunch of questions.
Do you want me to stand up? Yeah.
It might be easier to show everyone. I want to make sure that this records your voice more than mine.
Okay.
All right, so, Slade's is here.
Yep.
Victor turns right.
So he goes out the front door and then kind of goes across the street.
So he crosses West Hall.
Yep.
And when you say...
And then I don't want to worry about it after that.
So when you say he's going towards Crooked Breeze, this is where Crooked Breeze is?
Yes.
So across the street at the intersection of West Hollis and Main Street?
Yep.
And that's the last time you saw him?
Yes.
Thank you very much. I have no more questions for you.
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
All right. You are excused.
So I can stay.
Any
My-
reason
my release?
she needs to be held under the subpoena? She will be recalled?
No, you can release it.
All right.
Thank you.